As realtors, what is our technical job definition? That we do a million different things, but what do you guys feel like is our main purpose?
Help people buy or sell real estate property.
Yeah. Buying houses and everything else. What else do we do?
Everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
We're therapists.
Yeah.
Counselors.
Yeah. Therapists, counselors, those are actually two very good ones to describe us. What else? Anything else?
Part-time financial advisor, thinking about a home or a piece of land as an asset versus a structure.
Fortune teller.
Yeah.
Everyone asks me to predict the future all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've actually had to work that into my conversation. Like when someone asks me for advice, I say all the time, I'm not a magic 8 ball. Mm-hmm. I cannot predict the future because I don't want there to be any possibility for them to come back. Cindy can vouch for me. I've gotten in too many situations. I just don't want anybody to come back and say, you said this.
Yeah, it's kind of CYA sort of thing.
Yeah. So actually getting card readings with.
Right.
The definition this guy uses of realtors is serving the emotional and transactional needs of our clients.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not just that we kind of touched on that. We're counselors, but we're also advisors. We don't have crystal balls, but based off the information we have, here's our best sort of educated decision on what our opinion or thought is as a professional, as someone who does this every single day. So that was just a very good one, and to harp on the emotional portion of it. The most emotional portion of a transaction for a client is while they're under contract. Like I said, just we talk about, we do this every day. We know we'll get to the, get to the closing, everything goes according to plan. But 92% of the time, it does not go 100% according to plan. Okay, so that means 8% of the time, a transaction goes off smoothly without a hitch. Okay. Where we make up our value as agents is in that 92% of the time where, hey, something gets screwed up, we need to problem solve, we need to create solutions in order to get our clients to the closing table. Like I said, if it was an easy, simple job, everybody would obviously do it. This is a business with a very, very high turnover rate because not everyone can go serve the emotional and transactional needs of their clients and still generate leads. But if we serve them better from the get-go, like I said, their emotional and transactional needs, we have a much better chance of surviving in this industry, in this business, and earning referrals and be able to build a kind of a growing relational business to be there to last through good times and in bad times. All right. A lot of stuff obviously going on, tariffs, market, up, down, left, right, rates all over the place. All right. We need to be the ones who's the stable, steady ship across the board. If we're going on these emotional swings with our clients, then you're going to be swinging all over the place. You're going to swing yourself right out of the business and right out of it. You've got to get so frustrated to the point that you just don't want to do it anymore. We need to be that rock, that that voice of reason. At the end of the day, we need to be able to detach ourselves from the emotions best we possibly can on here. And then one of the other things he just said, we got to detach from the result. We need to serve the client. The deal's going off the rails. Guess what? They're a buyer who needs to go buy. They're still going to go out and buy something. Okay. It may not be that house. We have to start over from the get-go. But if we, coach them through, we hold their hand through that entire process. If it's a bad experience, but we have a successful outcome down the road, that's how we build lasting client relationships across the board there. So, but make sure we're serving the client, not serving just not just trying to get a paycheck. We're trying to build advocates. We're trying to get people in and produce.
We're all in the inner circle.
Yes,
we are all.
Okay.
Yeah. Mars and outlier. What can we do as agents while we're under contract to serve the emotional needs of our clients?
Give them weekly updates. In a sense, that's probably the cheapest but the most effective thing to do. Mm-hmm. It's like I heard when I was early in the real estate business. Most agents, they get them under contract and they head out of town. Mm-hmm. And they come back in town when the closing's ready to come. And most agents don't stick around and actually speak, or I'm not saying you got to take them out to a 5-star dinner or anything, but just keep them weekly updates on the property, whether it's 1 text or 2 calls. That's all they need. They just need a little insurance.
Correct. Yeah, and that's what we're doing. So that's obviously serving a transactional need of, hey, here's where we're at. Also talk about when they're under contract, we need to be communicating with them. Sometimes over communicating with them. When they hear nothing, their mind immediately goes to what's going wrong. I haven't heard anything. I'm waiting for the call because 92% of the time, something bad is going to happen in the transaction. If you're only calling them when something bad happens, then they're scared of answering the phone call from you. If you're calling them and say, hey, things are great, things are moving along, we had, the inspection last week, that's all, past us now, appraisal's next, I'll keep you updated when that happens. If you're in regular contact with the people, when you have to deliver bad news, you're doing your job. But if we're, God, I got under contract, thank God. Whew. All right, I'm just gonna wait for the paycheck to come in. There's a lot that happens in between, going under contract and honestly before contract. I mean, you're going to work with these people way up front. It's not just while they're under contract, but we need to really nurture them and make sure they're taken care of, and we make sure we're actively listening to what their concerns are while they're going through the process, just because we go through it every day, they do not. So just make sure we are able to kind of translate that over to them. What else can we do to elevate the client experience for our clients while they're under contract?
Refer them to other professionals in the industry that can service their needs as well.
Yeah, so I think it's having those conversations with them. So they're getting ready to move into a new house. Think about any time you moved into a new house, were the things you wanted to get done? The answer is yes to that question. Yeah, you want to get it painted. You want to swap out light fixtures. I love the actual home inspection as one of my favorite things to generate leads more than anything. It gives me, 1 to 3 hours to be with the client face to face, serving the emotional and transactional needs. I'm able to stay calm during that when they're finding God knows what's wrong with the house or leaks or snakes or whatever it may be. Able to, hey, this is, normal. This happens every time. It's a used house. It's the dings, dents, leaks analogy all the time with used cars. But be able to talk them through that and say, hey, this is not as big and bad and scary as you think it is. One, I said that serves to be able to be there to talk through all this sort of stuff, calm them down. And also, you get to find out more about your client. You're spending, 1 to 3 hours at a home inspection. You get to talk about not just housing, you talk about life. We got to make sure we're actively listening to what the people are talking about. So if they have pets or dogs, that's a key indicator for me. Like, hey, they're moving to a new house. Their dog's name is Billy Bob, and Billy Bob, a new keychain with the new address on it. Like, there's little tiny things like that where that becomes the unexpected extra. And what did people remember about the real estate transactions? I think, I'm not sure Gillespie's quote, but he says something like, people should remember the way you make them feel. Yeah, so you make them feel good. And I said, what do people love? They love their kids, they love their pets, things like that. And so we need to make sure we kind of pay attention to them. That can be a little unexpected extra where, people talk about their realtors when they're at their work or office or whatever it may be, and they're sitting there and, my realtor dropped off, a pop by, or if they got my dog, a new dog tag. I know that was somebody that we did the final walkthrough, and the doorbell was working during the inspection and wasn't working during the final walkthrough. Nothing worth holding a deal up, over. They went to, closing, and they went out to eat afterwards. They came home. I had a brand new doorbell sitting on their front porch for them to install, not for me. But still, I provided an extra value. They still talk about something that simple. It cost me, $50 at Home Depot to go do, but that served the, need for them, took something off their plate. They got people at the front door. So little things like that really just go a very, very, long way across the board. What do you guys do for potential, referrals, not just in the transaction, but how are we thanking people when they give us referrals? How fast are you doing it?
Immediately.
Yeah. What are you doing immediately for them?
Usually for us, I like what you said about the home inspection, because we're actually using that as, I don't want to say keep them away from the home inspection, but we try to set them up where if there's anything that you truly need to know about, the inspectors come in to get us quickly. If you want to tag along, the inspector's okay with that too. But typically what we do is we just sit down and hang out for a while, try to make it a good day, and know that if there's anything that pops up, he's going to come get it. We're going to look at everything. But we try to use it as an opportunity to find out where they do their shopping. If they go out for the average dinner, where do they go? If they go out for fine dining, where do they go? Family situation, stuff like that. Because at that meeting, you can almost cultivate what you're going to put in their closing gift packet, based on the info. They also, they'll also share some work stories or stuff like that. So usually if we bag that info, when it comes time to thank them, we don't even have to think about it. You pull up your CRM, check your notes, and send them a gift card, make them a reservation, something like that.
Yeah, I think the more we can find out about our clients, just the better overall in general. If I find out that someone likes the Dallas Cowboys or the Washington Redskins or Commanders, that gives me a talking point to them in the fall. If the Cowboys have a big win, you can call, hey, did you see the game yesterday? That was cool. I'm not calling about real estate stuff or anything like that. I'm calling to have a relational conversation top of mind, and I always weave real estate, in there. Hey, you got any your neighbors think about, moving or can't cut the grass anymore? Hey, let me know. Happy to talk to them, help them move. Whatever it may possibly be, but the more we have that, and who uses a referral maker CRM or who has a CRM they use regularly. So I know on the Buffini one, there's like a relational whole section where, what school did you go to? And whatever that may be, the more you know about the clients, the better you can serve them and to do unexpected actions. If you're just there, they call you every 7 years to sell their house, or you're going to be creating an advocate for across the board for the entire time period that they're, kind of in your CY and actually, marketing to them. To me, if you're able to create a relational business, which all this stuff kind of ties back into, you don't have the peaks and valleys the realtors do. Okay? When the market's, bad, then people will dip and fall off, not do. You're serving so the emotional needs, if they need a painter, they need a contractor. I just talked to somebody that said, yeah, we're thinking about, redoing our deck. Well, I gave them a name and number within 5 minutes of, hey, here, call this guy. He's going to get you all done and taken care of. So being there for the clients that don't have, time to do all this. This is what we do every single day. We're working on, we're not, actually doing inspection repairs, things like that generally. But who you have to call for when the clients need something. So we want to make sure we have good people on board ready to go. And really just able to serve them for whatever their need may be. That need may come when they're under contract. That need may come 3 years after the fact. These are all good opportunities to, check in. I try to give everyone their purchase anniversary call. How's the house going? It's been 2 years since you moved in. Have you done any fun updates, any projects? What can I help out with? Do you need contacts for anything? I need XYZ. From XYZ, now you just, stay in their good graces for another 2 years by making a simple phone call and connecting with people. I said it doesn't have to be 5-star restaurants in order to truly serve our clients on that. So other things I had on here, confidence comes from when you keep promises to yourself. Okay, so if you say you're going to make phone calls once with all your active buyers, you're going to be a lot more confident, and you're going to sound a lot more confident if you make those calls every single Monday. Okay, you skip a couple Mondays or then call on Tuesday. Try to get in the habit and the pattern of all this stuff. That way people know to expect your phone call. Hey, Kevin's calling, give me an update on whatever the market's doing this week. Or here's what's coming up this week. Or I know Kevin's going to be in town or out of town on Thursday and Friday this week. So if we want to see houses, they're going to be going to see them tomorrow instead. That level of communication and transparency gets you very, very far in this business, from my experience. What other sort of unexpected extras or what we do for referrals when they come in?
We try to do a lot of stuff throughout the year. So you're almost trying to generate referrals indirectly by serving and connecting and hosting events so that it's almost like an always thank you to them. Like one thing we do like birthday cards, like send them a dollar scratcher or something like that. I like what you said about the purchase anniversary calls, but we think about occupying mind space. So I think probably the biggest thing is like just noticing them, like noticing the things that they have happening in their lives, trying to be a part of them, but mostly just letting them know that somebody's noticing the good stuff that they're doing. And then the hope is that the more of the mind space we can occupy, when they can reciprocate, you've got such a healthy amount of their mind space that it's just natural for them to send us referrals, when the time comes.
Yeah.
It doesn't work on everybody, but
yeah. And some people, who here uses social media? I can't stand it, hate it, but it's a good tool. One, if you don't have their birthdays are usually somewhere you can find that out. Like Better said, you put the birthday, everyone I sit down with Dawn beginning of each month. She says, hey, here's the whole list of all your birthdays. Here's all your purchase anniversaries. And, I sit down for 2 hours and I wrote 30 some notes. I get all my birthdays for the whole month knocked out, and we'll drop them in the mail once a week for whatever the week of the birthday is. They get a personalized note from me, saying happy birthday. And then also they usually get a phone call from me as well on their actual birthday. How many people send a text for a birthday, or just click the happy birthday thing, automatically. You don't have to type it on Facebook anymore. You just click on something. But there's a Les Brown quote: if you do what is easy, life will be hard. Do what is hard, life will be easy. I look at that as simple as it's hard to make a phone call. It's not hard to make a phone call, but it's like a mental block for a lot of people, like getting on the phone and talking, and they're not going to answer what they're going to say. You kind of got to get over that, especially for something as simple as a birthday. What stands out if they get 50 text messages, but they get 3 phone calls? Who do they remember? The 3 phone calls. Okay, so it's simple little stuff like that. If you know me, I can't stand emails or computers or anything like that. Like, a lot of my business is done from on voice to voice or face to face. I can't stand text messaging. I think so much gets lost in translation with that. And these are real live conversations you're having with your clients, advocates, friends, people you're trying to earn business from in the future. Talk to them. Don't just passively do stuff. If you do stuff passively, you're going to get passed over. It's kind of the way I look at it. But if you're in front of them, they have no excuse to not use you in the future if you're staying in contact. And it's also being genuine too. I mean, obviously there's a reason behind why I'm calling for their birthday, but I wish they had a happy birthday. It's a pretty simple thing to do. That's one touch a year. You put the purchase anniversaries in there. There are any notes for something like that. We'll do 6-month purchase anniversaries. Hey, it's been 6 months. You've been in the house now. Hey, what do you need help with? What's going on? We'll try to drop the closing picture in a little frame back by their house. Just something simple to, hey, remember how you sold, happy, remember Dad, still love his house. Long part. But got issues or whatever else, you have some fallback love. Just gives them that warm and fuzzy feeling at the end of the day. A lot of tickets in the birthday cards is a good one. Other things I had on here I picked up. Who here has had clients lose offers? A loser basket. Especially those first time buyers that just get smoked. They're a FHA loan and they finish in 8th place to 4 cash offers and 20% down people. Hey, welcome to real estate. Here's a box of cookies and a candle and a tissue to cry. But it's also like, hey, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Bad times, good times. It's also just kind of we want to keep them motivated to go out there and try again. So if they get the brakes beat off them on the first one, and then then they quit. It's like, oh my God, I can't do this. They can do it. It just may take 3, 4, 5 times before you go get it. But if you
have to get them 5 loser baskets.
No, it's usually one loser basket. Yeah,
you go the first one or the 5th one.
Yeah, I mean, you can stage it. It depends on how bad the loss is. But I thought that was a really kind of a neat thing. It's like they, they're at work, whatever it may be, and they get hey, you lost, just super disappointed. All right, how can we kind of brighten their day, turn it back around, let them know, hey, we're still here in your corner, it's going to be okay. Like I said, that's being that rock in all the turbulence and everything else that's going on. So that was an awesome one. Another thing too, I think people who are a little further on in business, it's called a referral tree. So I just got a referral today from a client that bought a house in 2019. They were originally referred by another guy who was referred to by another guy. Well, all 3 of them are now getting ready to get referral gift cards, and they'd be like, hey, and I'll write it out in the card. Hey, you referred me, Katie and Ryan 7 years ago. They called back, they want to buy a house. So I just want to thank you for, setting that relationship up. Then I'm writing to the person, hey, you referred me to Bob and Sally. You referred me to Katie and Ryan. Katie and Ryan are going to buy a house. Just want to thank you for being, part of that, truth and getting these people here today. So if you're thanking, and this is nothing, you're talking a $5, but referral free sort of gift card is it's $5 to, Starbucks, and they go buy a cup of coffee. Thanks for, things but it's another reason to reach back out to them, appreciate them, say thank you. Then you also get to call people who've referred you in the past, right? They're more likely to refer you again in the future if you're still thanking them for referrals that happened 6, 7 years ago and are 3 times removed from them. They don't even know the original person has no idea who the person who down the line is, but it's cool to show them that you're still in business, you work by referral, and this can continue to grow, and I'm happy to, send you a cup of coffee every single time that, one of your people, helps me out. So just kind of passing it back. I thought that was a really, good one to pick up there. Talk about immediate appreciation. When I get that referral, that goes in the mail almost immediately. Depending on sometimes referral, it's maybe a $5 or $10 gift card, or maybe a $25 gift card to favorite restaurants. We talk about having relational stuff going on. Like I said, I have did with Dawn a couple of years ago called All About You. Google form, what's your favorite restaurant chain? What's your favorite restaurant locally? What's your favorite beverage? What's your favorite alcoholic beverage? What's your favorite candy bar? What's your favorite whatever? People all filled it out. We used it the other day. Guy lives down in like Forest Hill area. His favorite restaurant was what we get for Little Nickel. So he sent me a $1 million buyer referral. You get $25 a Little Nickel. So $5, $4, but it's kind of like, hey, but that card was in the mail pretty much next day, and I said that's something that's going to remember that, and that allows me to continue to work with him. And that's a guy who'd honestly kind of fallen off the map a little bit for 3-4 years. I called him a year or two ago. He's like, oh yeah, my brother just moved down. I was like, well, hello. And he kind of forgot about it. I'm not sure if I made him feel bad to send me the next person too. But in that scenario, that was from some college friends of mine, and I got in with their friend group. Now there's 6 people in their friend group, or 6 couples in their friend group. All of them are going to be getting $5 Starbucks cards. The actual person gets the $25 one to Little Nickel. So. And just that's got to be somewhat immediate too. I said, I think it hits much harder when it comes fast. Okay, the immediate appreciation. One of the agents at this thing, he was teaching one of the little sessions, and he got a referral in the first session. He was teaching the second session. And he had to stop looking at his phone during his session because he got dinged because his phone was going off because he had ordered insomnia cookies to someone he got a referral from during the original session. So within 45 minutes of receiving the referral, they had warm cookies delivered to their house. So it's like, that is unexpected. That is definitely an extra, and they taste it. So, but those the little things we do to separate ourselves or build those lasting relationships is what separates us from all the other realtors around. So keep in mind, you're building your personal brand, your personal business on all this. Other things I had on there for like kids' birthdays or newborns, I give a little lovey out to all of my people who have babies. I answered the nice thing to do. It's not a house thing. That's why when I use Facebook, it's to say, hey, who had a job promotion, or who just had a kid, or who just got engaged, or who just got married. Like, those are all things that are just like automatic tickers for me, because also real estate, when do people move? Life events. So you have a life event, and so that can be promotion, it can be kids, that could be divorce, that could be hey, their parents passed away. Those are all sort of, not that we're going trying to chase after purses or things like that, but those are good things to just reach out and let people know, like, hey, I'm here for you. We're still here for you, even today, next month, whatever it may be. If there's anything we can do for you, I'm here. And reach out a month after the fact on something like that too, just because it's all that. It's big life events. It's if we live in the quick social media-ish world where it's big life event. 2 days later, there's another 1,000 things going on. You kind of forget, what happened. But be able to be there for people and for our clients way after the fact and checking on them, it just says something about who you are as people, and so it's a relational business, not transactional. This is a transactional business. You're going to wear yourself out. You're not going to enjoy the people you're working with, and then let's fade off into the sunset a little bit. Is what I kind of think. So, other things for kids' birthdays, piggy banks. Never too early to start saving for your house. It's a cute little whatever thing. So, piggy banks, saving money. Also, just getting back to the referral stuff, we talk with clients. It's we always want our clients to be successful and have more funds available. It's who's your financial advisor you're working with? What do they think about you buying a house? Oh, you don't have a financial advisor? Okay, well, let me get you connected with my guy. And that one shows that, hey, I'm trying to increase value to you from the long haul, make sure you're making smart decisions. I care about you. I want you to do well. And honestly, if they can do well, what are they probably going to go do next? They're probably going to buy another house in 5-7 years, and they buy a rental property. If they have more net worth, they're probably hanging around people with more net worth, which means bigger houses, easier, simpler sales, referrals, is so you can increase your price point, increase what you do, to elevate, elevate's kind of the word of all this, is the bare minimum, where you can step up a notch. We want to try to step up a notch on kind of everything that we do, there. I mean, most people aren't running around with, 50 clients at a time. You only have, 4 or 5 clients, make it special for them. What else can you go do? And sometimes it maybe they have a recap once you've lost out on 3 houses. Do we need to readjust our search, change our parameters? We need to open up to different areas. We're trying to, one, get them into a house, or obviously we're trying to sell them something, but it's also got to make sense for them. I use the line all the time, I'm not going to live in the house with you. End of the day, it's your decision. I want to make sure we check as many boxes as possible, but, I'm going to use as much information as we possibly can to make sure you make a good decision that fits you. I said, there's some houses I walk in, I'm like, I'll never live here, this layout sucks. They're like, oh my God. But everybody's different, and that's what you also got to realize. It's kind of taking that back seat from your opinion sometimes and seeing what do they want? It's not about what you want, it's about what do they want. Okay, and sometimes you got to bring it back down to earth and say, hey, what you want, and in your price range, or not in this location, but here's what it is. And if we need to, if these houses aren't kind of fitting what you need, then we need to look elsewhere, or we need to change our budget, or we need to save more. You have a financial advisor. Here you go. Let's get you some more, worth and plan a little bit better on it. So, pass those referrals to people to help them get better. And I think everyone would feel better if they had a better financial plan. They had to know what's coming in from retirement wise, and know that they're making a good decision. And sometimes people just need to have that financial conversation to make them feel like at ease, take that monkey off their back, and they get the big sigh of relief, like, oh, it's okay, I can do this. Some people, I'm not the biggest budgeter in the world. Ben does all my budgeting, honestly, on there, but it keeps me straight. It simplifies my life for me. That's what a financial advisor does for all these people, and allows them to increase their value, net worth, and that in turn, as I said, will be more houses to sell in the future, better referrals from those clients as they kind of climb the ladder there. Other things had on here, just
excuse me.
Yeah. I had written down here, fear of success sometimes equals fear of responsibility. Right, something to kind of let marinate for a second, but a lot of people think what's the worst that can happen. There's also people that's kind of like, hey, I make all these phone. To me, it's a good problem. If I make all these phone calls, I'm gonna have a bunch of referrals, and I got to go do a bunch more stuff. My calendar gets filled up. I don't have time to go do X, Y, Z. But I think the fear of that's what fear of responsibility is as much as it is fear of success. More stuff on your plate. This is stressful on us as agents as well. I don't think anyone's going to deny that. I mean, there's been sleepless nights I've had, or I'm thinking about through wording on a contract, or why we lose this one, why we lose that one. How can I get better on this to make sure it doesn't happen again? That's an ongoing process too. So it's just kind of reflecting on that. And then the fear of success. What's the best that can happen? People always think, what's the worst? What's the worst? What's the worst? Well, what's the best outcome? And a lot of times the phone call that we're most scared of making, you put it off. All you're doing is building roadblocks in your head the entire time, rather than taking the issue, talking about it, having a conversation, attacking it. So if you let that stuff stew, and now we're not communicating with our clients, who are probably also having a lot of intrusive thoughts as well, we need to kind of nip those in the bud fast as we can. When you have an issue, address it ASAP. So or else it's going to take up your mind space. If you're trying to call people happy birthday, but you're thinking about the deal, it's all screwed up in the back of your head. You're probably not doing a very good job saying happy birthday, or you truly care, or showing people what you mean to them, or what they mean to you. On that. All right, I've done a lot of talking. What else? What things do you guys do to step up your game or separate yourselves from other people? Get from the referral game or just kind of transaction?
I made some notes just for the sake of going and talking, I guess. And most of it's segueing off the stuff you said. I wrote down, don't find a reason to not do something. A lot of times I'll talk to agents, new agents, older agents, and I won't even call them excuses, but it's just a million reasons to not do something. And I don't think there's that many reasons to not do it. I think Croco didn't make it up, but Croco's thing is FAFO. Like sometimes you gotta F around and find out. And don't wait. The trail of negativity in your head associated with waiting is crippling, and it's way worse than eating the frog. Like Mel Robbins got the 5-second rule, right? Like count down to 5, say F it, and make it happen. We call it kind of like the monster under the bed. You need to know what the monster under the bed looks like, and then you realize like it was never anything to be something scary, afraid of. Tell that to the dean right now. He begs to differ. We have something called the 8 mile mentality, and this is also, I've younger people on the team now that make me feel old, and they tell me they don't know what 8 Mile is, but does most everybody in here know what the movie 8 Mile was? So, like, our 8 Mile mentality is the final scene when Eminem is in the rap battle with Papa Doc, and he's going to say, you know, that I'm white trash, I live in a trailer park, he's going to say all these things about me, but then instead, he flips the script, and he says it all before it could be said about him, and then the guy has nothing to say, and loses the rap battle, you know what I mean? I think clients, we try to take an 8 Mile mentality where we don't lay on the drama, but we try to let them know what could be coming and then what we'll do about it in the event that it comes. And so we feel like we win all the rap battles. And then these works with support.
And I think what Larry's talking about there is setting expectations. You know, if clients walk in, they've never done it before, then they show up and, you know, sometimes some people just take people out and go look at houses. And then qualified, don't have the search set up, don't know what criteria like, you know, to me, like the preparation and setting expectations, every single buyer that we have, even family, siblings, whatever it may be, we bring them into the office, sit them down, here's how the process works, here's what to expect, here's what's money due, and so it's having that buyer rep appointment to make sure that we address a lot of these issues that come up if you don't have this up front. This is the stuff that rears its head halfway through the transaction. Is like, that would have been a 2-second conversation when we had the buyer meeting. Now it's turned into a giant thing that should be essentially a non-issue. You know, let people know how inspections work. Some sellers aren't really negotiable. You know, I'd rather ask for credit instead of, you know, having repairs done, because the seller's going to get repairs done as, you know, as cheap as possible. You know, we want to say, let's kind of protect you on some of this weird stuff, but doesn't know what to expect. You know, hey, we may have to, you know, waive inspection items under $500, or we, you know, if you let them know that up front, like, hey, and also, you know, the best thing we do as a buyer for a seller is we can waive an inspection. That's the best one. I never advise people to go, you know, do that, but if you're comfortable doing it, that's going to be a giant separator for you. If you lose to that and you're not willing to waive the inspection, then we shrug our shoulders and move on to the next one. It's no harm, no foul. Don't, you know, lose sleep over it. Same thing with your escalator clauses. We write the escalator clause up to a point where you say, hey, if it goes another $1,000 more, I think it's entirely too much. They got to have that line. That's a number they kind of pick out. I'm thinking like, hey, I think it's going to take this to get it. But at the end of the day, this is your money. What do you want to do? And sometimes, you know, not that I love losing, but you know, there's a lot of lessons you get from loss with that. So when I know Emily Porter was just working with some clients that, you know, they lost one over a rent back instead of doing a 60-day to 30-day. It's like, man, that's pretty tough. You know, next day they rent one 60-day rent back. Get it? You know, there's little things like that, and we need to, you know, also be able to coach them up like, guys, don't lose a house over a 30-day rent back. You're gonna be living in this house for 15 years. You're not gonna remember if you moved in, you know, May or June. Okay, get the house, figure it out, and then, you know, worry about some of that stuff on the back end of things. Yeah, and setting expectations across the board is going to simplify your business, and it just, you know, builds the confidence, the trust from our clients to, you know, move forward with us. Hey, we know what we're talking about, because they just laid out all this stuff that I'd never heard or even thought of that I'm getting ready to encounter. Now they're prepped for it, and they can go kind of, you know, sit back, relax, and kind of make some decisions as they go, rather than kind of drinking water through a fire hose as they're trying to figure out, you know, price, lending, financing, you know, down payment to make it all work. You know all that stuff way up front. So we get with, you know, a will. Say, hey, we need this person pre-qualified. All right, now they know their budget, they know their price point, they know what their monthly payment is. Now they can kind of go look, having that in the back of their minds. Okay, all right, this is in my, you know, monthly payment range. I feel comfortable here. I think the house is worth it. Make the decision, rather than other people are chasing their tail. I just saw this house pop up on Zillow. I want to go check it out. Well, they haven't gotten pre-qualified. They haven't talked to anybody. Now they're kind of chasing their tail the entire time, versus the people who are prepped and ready to go are already there ahead of the game, and, you know, they're going to succeed. While the other person is still trying to figure out, you know, they're going to have a million questions on an actual contract at that point. You know, do I need a waive inspection? I thought I had to waive inspections. We're already done. the person just kind of just getting started. So that prep work, to me is paramount, and that is, exceeding expectations. We had one the other day, a single, girl nurse came in, she brought her dad in, and I love when clients will bring their parents in to do buyer appointment. I don't love when they just show up for the first time at the home inspection. But we let them know, like, hey, if you have someone who wants to be involved in it, like, hey, let's bring them in. And that gives you a chance to somewhat kind of show off. I mean, you got to think, even if someone, you bring, this girl's, 25, her dad's, 55, is he experienced in real estate?
Did he have a clipboard?
No, he didn't look. So,
you never know.
Yeah, you get scared of the guy with the dad who walks in with a tape measure on his belt. That's when you know that you're in for it. But yes, I mean, having that there, that's a chance to one show off. There's also the confidence piece. It says, you know what you're talking about, and like that guy has probably bought 3 houses in his entire life. Okay, so he's done it 3 times. How many times have you sold houses? It's a lot more than 3. Or newer than 3. We'll get up there at some point too. This is something you do every single day. Show off experience, knowledge, and that's what you can kind of really build people there. And that guy walked out, I learned a lot. So if I can impress a dad who's going to trust me to help his daughter go find a house, then that builds a bigger advocate in her, because now she's comfortable that her dad's comfortable. And if her dad's comfortable with me and helping her, then things go much, much better. And they're looking out for our clients' best interest, serving the emotional and transactional needs of our clients. So keep in mind, that's what us as realtors is what we do. So, what other stuff do you guys have you do to make things special for your clients?
I like to try to focus on engage. I'm in the phase of for a lot of my clients are getting engaged or getting married. So the week of their wedding, I always try to drop something off at their house. When I see they get engaged, send something. And then one thing I have been kind of switching my focus on this year is done is better than perfect. So although it's great to get the lovey and go drop it by their house and they have a baby or announce their pregnancy, drop off a candle or whatever, also putting something in the mail is totally okay. And how exciting is it when you get a surprise package? Arguably, I would prefer that over seeing my realtor show up at my front door, right? So putting things in the mail is something that I have been working on to just try to get things done. Yeah. And also utilizing Amazon. Just get it shipped to their house. Again, they're going to be excited. Who cares? It takes 2 seconds for you to click 3 buttons and then they'll be pumped.
Make sure it's from the urban.
Yeah, make sure you include it.
Make sure you say, hey, this is for me. We had a tree get delivered recently. We had no idea who it was from. So, thank you, we can't tell anything. Those are kind of quick little tools to do. But I think the immediate appreciation, and just as I said, it doesn't have to be real estate centric.
I have 3 clients just this week that reached out for, I think just being relational, but one wants me to talk to their daughter about, she wants to do a career switch and wants me to sit down and talk to her. One wanted me to come read over a contract for a sale they did on a parent's house in Martinsville, so I'm meeting with her in the morning. And one wanted me to just go sit at their house because they couldn't be there for a plumbing inspection because I just sold a river house and they were going down to the river. So just doing, I'm kind of like their first person that called for things and being there to help them. Yeah, also, so it's not real estate necessarily related, but you're there as a friend and personal, and they'll refer you because of those things.
Yeah, so that's not directly real estate, right, but it's in all around. They call you because you're a trusted advisor to them for anything house related. And relaying that to your clients, let them know, hey, we need house stuff. We work with people who need house stuff every single day. We have contacts for just about everything you possibly need. Let them know that. You want to be the first call rather than posting on Facebook, neighborhood group, go-to painter. Call me. I got a painter guy who'll get you in here, do a good job for you, stuff like that. So letting people know you're there for them, like I said, before, during, after the sale, and it does not have to be anything that results in a direct paycheck for us. All right.
To Sandy's point, one thing too that I've been doing is I have a lot of clients coming in from out of town, just moving here. And so they're getting contractors or movers or people in, but they're not here. Hey, can I leave you with a contractor's box so your people can get in and out easily and you don't have to worry about it? Make sure they're kind of expensive. So make sure you remember who has them and when, but leave them there for a month and then be like, hey, if you're done with the lockbox, can I pick it up? And this was so helpful. Thank you so much. Or send a locksmith to their house and have them put a keypad on their front door or something. It's $120. Yeah, easy. a locksmith is a nice unexpected extra too. If you have somebody who's really like security focused.
Yeah.
Hey, don't forget to get your locks changed. I'll send somebody over today to get it done. Or like mowing the grass. This time of year, it's a good reminder to remind your sellers to mow their grass before they close. But also, if they don't, find a guy, if you need a guy, you got some guys, who will go over and mow their grass for $50, $75. Take care of it so they don't have the new first time home buyer who doesn't have a lawnmower doesn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that kind of comes back to talking about, people are going through a somewhat, traumatic event in their eyes. They're not really worried about cutting the grass. What can we take off their plate to simplify things for them during this, which is something that is above, our job is to, help get the house sold and everything else too, but we can go do some other things, and like I said, it just elevates what we do. Those are some good stuff.
I would say one thing: don't overestimate or don't underestimate the power of going out to meeting somebody. Literally, one day I went all the way from here, all the way to Bumpus Post Office, and that feels like it's probably to Russia, the way you drive down here. But it feels like forever. And literally, I pulled up to answer a 30-second question, and all the builder was saying, he said, I'm building 2 houses right here. We're going to list them later in the year. He said, I don't really know how I should position it. Should I put the living room on one side? Should I put it on another? And because the driveway kind of came off at 2 spots, and he said, I probably could have called you, but I don't know. I just wanted a third set of eyes. Walked through the whole entire property, gave him kind of a little backside, say, if you do it this way, kind of you got one parking lot, that probably might not end up good. Literally something that could have took 30 seconds to do. If you drive out there and do it, people honor that and respect it more than anything you ever kind of think about. Literally, and a lot of people say, well, I can just tell you on the phone. No, go out there, because that's how they know that you'll go above and beyond for them. So when the time comes to list a property or sell a property or whatever you're doing, they have no doubt in mind that you have the confidence in the will to do it. So,
right, yeah, that's also, anytime we're meeting people face to face, especially if they're newer people and like that gives you another opportunity to get to know them better, get to know what their needs are, how they communicate, whether their styles, whatever it may be for whatever situation is. The more we get to know them, the better we serve them. Okay, and I said, to me, nothing replaces face to face. People will send a nasty, disgusting text message freaking you out, but you call them, oh hey, or you see them in person, hey, yeah, that's like anytime I have an issue, I'm picking the phone up. I'm not gonna get the back and forth, trying to justify whatever text message. It's we had a disappointed seller here, recently, the house didn't get 50 showings and 20 offers. So his class passed the weekend, and he was just super disappointed and all this. Hey, deep breath. It's okay. It's not everything sells in 3 days. Do it, but I was able to diffuse that very quickly, very easily, and phone call. And it was hey, I'm super appreciative. I know you guys are working hard here, and you probably can't get the household. I want a better result too, but hey, that's we're here to get it sold, and we can only do what we can here moving forward. So it's kind of sometimes you have to reset expectations on that too, but to me, nothing's better than actually having a voice-to-voice or face-to-face conversation to have those rather than emails, text messages. To me, that's just an easy way out. And that's not serving you have people that are steaming. In fact, you can't tell if they're steaming, you can't tell if they're smiling. But, if you make that phone call, now you kind of get a pretty good idea of, kind of what their thoughts and feelings actually are. And like I said, that's quote unquote the harder thing to do. It's easy to send text. Okay. It's tough to make a phone call. So I just reverse flip that around and say it's easy to make a phone call, tough to make a text, and that some stuff can be answered via text or via email. But like I said, sometimes there's a lot more value going out there and seeing the person. Anytime we get I know for us we try to track our face-to-face, calls, notes, and pop by / face-to-face. The face-to-face is way a lot more than a note does or a phone call does. That's why if you make 50, I try to make 50 phone calls a week. Try to write, 10 to 20 minutes, so I go in spurts on that. But I try to go see 10 people face to face each week, because those 10 face to faces, it's a 30-minute coffee, it's an hour lunch, sometimes it's a 3-hour round of golf, whatever it may be. Those are all opportunities to deepen the relationships, talk to people, to know them better, and just communicate much simpler, easier, understand each other better. And that goes a long way when you think about, you're entrusted to make the biggest purchase or the biggest sale of your life.
People relax when you do that too. Mm-hmm. Literally, you could ask 3 questions, and it could be the end of the world to them if you ask them a text. If you talk to them, it's like nothing. It's like you just gave them a free birthday cake. Like they love it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
You can also follow up that conversation with a text, just specifying key points.
Here's a recap.
If you need to have it in writing.
It's almost like you got to clarify all the emotions involved before like an email or a text is going to work. Because otherwise, all those things are just question marks when you cut the 5 sentences out of the whole equation. Kev, I wrote down one thing you could do. Deals get messy in the middle. The stat about 8%, around 8% running perfect, that's pretty cool. But I wrote down if you make the beginning and the end of them clean, doesn't matter if they get a little messy in the middle. Last year we learned several valuable lessons about clients being pissed off at the end who had an immaculate experience up to that point. And the convenience factor of what they're going through, it's almost like you have to slow your life down on their closing week so you can give them a little of your extra attention. But if you want to duplicate your referrals, which is what we're all hopefully trying to do at that stage, that's an optimal time to do it if they're not pissed off. I thought the grass cutting thing, because everybody knows a teenager, a grass for $50, $75. It's a lot more than it was.
Little kids get greedy these days. Some guys and I out my brother.
Good money, they say, is that all?
Yeah. It's tough. Pre-negotiate those. Don't try to negotiate them. It's something okay. But talking about messing in the middle, like I said, we try to say avoiding the crash landing. Hey, everything goes great, and then you crash landing, and hey, everything went to shit real quick, and then it's like, hey, this went wrong, we missed the closing date by 1 day. But those are all expectation settings. Hey, closing date's target date. It's not set in stone. XYZ can go wrong. We have one right now. It's getting delayed because of a home equity line that was with Wachovia Bank in 2003. They're trying to find a payment. Nothing I can do, nothing anybody can do outside of there trying to get it all squared away. But and then, that gets where it becomes super emotional. It can be a crash landing or, hey, I had movers lined up for this day. Whatever. We can obviously advise them, hey, give yourself a few days. Don't, obviously you want everything to happen smooth, but it's 8% of the time it goes 100% smooth, easy sailing. 92% of the time we're going to have some hiccup or delay or whatever it may be in the middle of this. So, but being able to communicate that up front and let people know is going to help you out in the long run. Those stuff. That's how there's no lunch. I think we'll have,
what?
Burgers next week. And then, what's the last week? Next week we have, Jake and Jeff talk about, land stuff and kind of how to look for land, how to prospect for land. That'll be a very good one. Those are two guys that are fairly newer to the business that work their asses off and have found a lot of success. I think it's really good to learn from people at different stages in, careers, and I get a lot of stuff from, Rodney, been in for, 30.
34.
Yeah. So I've been in for, 13, but stuff I pick up, in for, I can pick up stuff from Jake and Jeff too. So I think it's good to learn from people who are doing different things and, get a feel for it. So it just kind of broadens your horizons, what you can and can't do, for future people. So.
If you took their class last time, this will be a little bit different. So just because you came last time, don't let it hold you back from coming. I'm gonna moderate it, but it's gonna be similar to this, but we'll also have a PowerPoint side of it, and then we'll have some handouts. But land deals are magical right now. I mean, obviously land is scarce, like everybody knows that, but we're gonna try to tell you a little bit more about what you can do with a piece of dirt other than just maybe put it on the market. We'll teach you how to do the research associated with maybe selling it at a higher price because then it's actually buildable and stuff like that. But I met with them for like 45 minutes, and for me it was cool meeting with them because like they are different than they were once upon a time now. They're savvy, and their goal is to make the class a lot of fun. So I told them to bring some stories and stuff like that. I think it'll be a good one to show up for.
All right, so thank you everybody for coming out. Excited for next week, and everyone need a better day. And I encourage everyone to try to find some sort of unexpected extra to do for someone in your database here as next today, tomorrow, whatever it may be. So reach out, make a few phone calls, and make some good habits.